Hi, folks. It's your old buddy Luke Clayton. Jeff is with me. We're going to do things a little bit different today, and we're going to show you some pictures of some hogs being shot, bow hunted hogs. Some good shot placements and some that are not so good. So we're going to show some clips. Jeff's going to run some clips, and you can make up your mind if these shots look good or if they look marginal or if they look bad. So Jeff's right here with us. He's going to put some clips up for us, and let's take a look at these and see what we think will put pork in the freezer. What do you say?
Okay, Jeff is going to put some clips up here, and we're going to look them over closely and decide whether we think these shots, where the arrow should be placed. Keep in mind, we are talking about bow shots rather than shooting them with a centerfire rifle. So, Jeff, I guess you can put up, clip one, and let's take a look at that.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, here's clip one, and this shot here, as you'll see in this clip, as we're showing it here, is that this animal is slightly quartering away. It appears the arrow hits midsection. Now, I will say in clip number one, Luke, it's very, very hard to see the lighted knock. It's because it's daylight, but it is there. It's kind of hard to see, so you have to kind of really look for it. But it is there. You'll see that arrow hit what appears to be almost behind the rib cage. But again, you have to remember the angle that that's going at and the fact that I am up in a tree stand. So that's stuff to consider when you make that shot. So what are your thoughts of clip number one?
Well, it's a textbook quartering away shot. And I think what our viewers and us looking at it need to remember that you're in an elevated position. Now, and with that, shot placement where that arrow impacts the hog would be a little bit different than if you were on level ground with that hog. But and it's really a little bit difficult to see the elevated position there by looking at this picture, at this clip. But the perfect quartering away shot, the perfect spot to impact this hog with your arrow is right at the back of the back rib. In other words, right in front of the gut. That would push a quartering shot up into that, through the heart-lung region, up into that left front shoulder area. So, but since you're elevated, you have to take that into consideration too. Mm-hmm. You might want to shoot a little bit, say up into the third or fourth rib because of your elevated position. But perfect quartering away shot, not a great deal of room for error with this shot, but if you put the arrow where it needs to be, you've got a dead hog, Jeff,
Absolutely. And let's show this in slow motion real quick.
Okay.
Here you'll see, again, that arrow in slow motion going through, and it's a little bit hard to see, but watch carefully for that arrow going through, and you'll see it does appear to be the perfect angle. And I agree with you in that the margin for error is there, so you have to be very, very careful. But this appears to me out of the gate to be a pretty good shot. I'm going to put up the anatomy of a hog right here real quick on this video, and let's just we'll take a look at where that arrow went through. As you can see here, where I'm just kind of showing you now, this is where I think that arrow went through. And with that, folks, you make the call on this. What do you think? Do you think this is a kill shot? Do you think this was a no recovery? Kind of want to get let you make your decision there, and then we'll give you an answer. So I'm going to stop it right there, Luke, and I'm going to turn it over to you, and you tell me what you think.
Well, I honestly could not see the impact of the arrow. What I could see was the perfect position of the hog. So
Okay.
I'm gonna speculate that we probably have a dead hog there. Uh, but there again, without knowing exactly where that arrow impacted him, I'm going to assume that it did hit him back behind the back rib, and I think we probably got some pork on the ground right there, Jeff.
Well, you're absolutely right. That arrow, it is very difficult to see. Number one, folks, you got to understand that those arrows are flying very fast, and sometimes it is very difficult to see. This is a daytime shot, so the lighted knock, which is there, is a little bit difficult to see. But yes, this in fact was a hog that was killed, and that hog ran about 30 yards and expired. So that one was a kill. Clip number one was a kill. So
Okay,
now
checked
it's
off
time
as
to
a
move.
kill. Yep,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Luke.
checked off as one porker in the cooler. So clip two, we can take a
Yes.
look at clip two now, right?
Yeah. Let's move on to clip number two here. This here's a real nice hog that looks again slightly behind the shoulder where this arrow hits. It does hit low, and you have to remember, folks, when we look at the anatomy of a hog, the heart is very low in their chest. And this appears to be a very good shot. You really can see with the lighted knock where this goes. So, Luke, what's your thoughts on this second clip?
Yeah, this is my favorite position to shoot a hog. It's a perfect broadside shot. This is the one I try to wait for simply because your margin of error is still tight, but it's not as tight as a quartering away shot with a bow. Now, if we're using a centerfire rifle, it's a totally different ball game, but we're talking bow shots right now. The heart is in the lower one-third of the body. I will say this. I have seen more hogs. I have personally lost more hogs with bow shots that were too far back or too high. Even if they were the hog carries that heart forward and lower than a deer. When you hear people saying, "I shot that hog right behind the shoulder and never found him," well, he shot him. It was probably a gut shot. So it's the perfect broadside shot. But it does have to. The arrow's got to be low. It's got to be impacting again an elevated position. That's you have to factor that in too. But if that arrow, it looks good. I mean, just by looking at it. But there is some room for error there. If that arrow did not impact, if it hit too high in no man's land, that hog's going to get away. But it looks like it should be a good shot to me.
I agree. Let's take a look at that one here real quick in slow motion. As you can see again, it does appear that it is a broadside shot. I mean, it's slightly behind that shoulder. Again, that arrow appears to be low, which is what you're looking for. And if you look again, we can pop up this hog anatomy shot here and take a look at where that arrow went through that hog. But from all practical purposes, I would think that's more of a textbook shot right there, and I feel pretty good about that being a kill shot. So, folks, we're going to turn it over to you and let you decide what you think, whether or not this is a recovery or a no find. So make your decisions now, and we will clue you in here what we got going on. So, Luke, I'm going to flip it back over to you. What do you think?
50-50, I'm just going to flip a coin. 50, I'm going to say you got him. It's a good chance if that arrow was a little bit too high or 2 inches far back, you didn't. But I'm an optimist. We got the hog, I'm going to say, but with the reservation that if that arrow was too far back, we might not have got him. So I'm going to say we got him. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's funny because I would have had I not shot this, so I know the outcome because I actually made the shot, and I was quite surprised that this was a no find. I mean, to me, again, it looked pretty textbook. It looked like it was right where it should be, but it was a no-go. So, unfortunately, there was no pork for the smoker on clip number 2. So, I guess we move on to clip number 3. And the thing with clip number 3, I think if you look at this one, again, this one looks just like the last shot. I mean, it really does. If you really kind of compare the last shot to this shot, again, it's right behind that shoulder. It's low. Appears to be a good shot. What are your thoughts, Luke?
Okay, now Jeff, which of course you were the one with the bow in this thing. Was that which hog is being shot here? Is that the back hog or the one in the front?
The one in the front.
Okay. And I at first, when I first looked at that, I was wondering. So now that hog is quartering a bit to us, right? The one in the front.
Just slightly. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, his head is closer to us than his tail, right?
Mm-hmm.
On that one. Okay. I will say this. On a shot like that, if you're trying to shoot at the shoulder, you might get one lung. If what I like to do on a shot like this, I like to shoot at the base of the neck, the jaw, if you will. Mm-hmm. And you'd be surprised how many times that arrow will drive right through between those legs, those front legs, into the heart and lung region. There again, it's a tough one for me to call. I would aim in the front of that shoulder if I were shooting this hog. I wouldn't try to shoot him in the shoulder because I'm afraid I'd just clip one lung. So I think it's a dead hog, Jeff. I do. It should be. Let's put it that way.
Well, folks, let's take a peek at this one in slow motion. Again, if you look real carefully here, as Luke alluded to, it is maybe slightly quartering just a tad, but it really is pretty similar to the shot of the clip number 2. So I will tell you, this one here, to me, again, I felt textbook. I felt this was a kill shot. But folks, let's let you figure that one out. And while you're debating that, we're going to run to a commercial break here, and we'll be right back.
Well, folks, it is Luke Clayton, and I want to show you something right here that I am very, very proud of. My gearhead bow. I've taken a couple of hogs with it, and I'm deer hunting. I'm down at the Buck and Bass Ranch at a buddy of mine's, and I'm going to be deer hunting. Let me show you something here. Now, this is the coolest thing in the world, and the first time I have ever shot a bow with a shoot-through riser. I'm going to look right at you here. There's a riser here. There's a riser here. Look at the arrow on this gearhead bow, right in the middle. And if you think that doesn't make a difference, for many, many years, me and I guess every other bow hunter been shooting one side of the riser or the other. This thing shoots straight through. Folks, check them out online. This is the bow that I hunt with, and I've got a lot. I love it. Lots of confidence in it. GearheadArchery.com.
Have you been successful in your hunts? If not, maybe you need to change some of the products that you're using. Today, I want to talk just a little bit about Texas-raised hunting products. Luke and I use these exclusively, and we use them because why? They work. Number one, it's paramount that you cover your scent. Texas-raised hunting products makes Scent Guardian. We start with this product. We spray down, and it completely eliminates any odor that you might be carrying into the woods with you. We start with this product, and they have an array of products for all hunting situations, whether it's for buck scrapes. They have the little canisters here, buck DNA. We put these out, and the animals, they react to these. We've got some sow seduction that we use, brings in both boar and sow. They work extremely well. I encourage you folks to get out there and try some of these products. Use what works. We have been very successful using these products. Again, it's Texas-raised hunting products. You can find them at texasraisedhuntingproducts.com, or just as easy to reach out to catfishradio.org to learn more information about these products.
Okay, folks, we're back. I hope you had a chance to review that shot and make your decisions. And Luke, I'm going to throw it over to you. What do you think?
I'm going to say that, like I said earlier, it should be a kill. So I'm going to say we got more pork in the freezer on clip 3.
We do. Yeah, this one was a kill. The interesting thing about this clip number 3 is it was, again, I felt like clip number 2, but it was a kill. It ran about 60 yards. And it laid down. It looked like a textbook shot. So, but yes, clip number 3 was a kill. Okay, now let's move on to clip number 4. What do you think about clip number 4?
I'm wondering on this. It sure is a chance for a shot to be. I mentioned earlier one of the worst things is too far back. I'm wondering if this one might not be too far back. The shot placement, Jeff. Describe where you think the perfect shot placement would be, opposed to where it was.
Well, we'll take another slow-mo look at this, but I'm absolutely in agreement with you. It was a little far back. If you look real carefully at this in slow motion, you'll see, the arrow actually hit the hog after it started to move. That's another thing you'll notice in this clip. But it started to move, the arrow hit it, and it was a little far back. So I didn't feel comfortable with that. Again, let's look at the anatomy right here, and we'll see where it appears I hit that hog, and you make the call, folks. Again, I don't know. This does look to be a little bit far back and questionable. Okay, Luke, so what's your thoughts? Do you think this was a kill, or do you think this was a no find?
Well, this one I feel pretty confident in. It was probably going to be a no find simply because I think we got that arrow in a little bit too far behind the vitals,
Yeah. You're 100% correct, folks. If that's what you chose, you're right as well. That was a little far back. That arrow, that hog moved just enough for that arrow to hit him a little bit too far back, and you hit like that, and those are tough ones to find. They really are. So if you chose no find, you were correct on that one. Clip number 5, Luke. This one, again, in my opinion, is like the last one. It does appear that was hit very high. What are your thoughts?
Yep, I do agree, and I bet a lot of our bow hunting buddies out there watching our video think the same thing. I will say this, that hog is in the position that's perfect. Perfect does not necessarily mean more pork in the freezer. There's a tight margin of error there. The worst thing that could happen as far as a killing shot is the worst thing is too far back. I think this one's too far back again, Jeff, and it's not, it happens to all of us. It does. The worst thing that a person can do, I think, is to put the arrow too far back. So you're much better shooting for the front of that shoulder in a situation like this than you are trying to tuck that arrow right at the crease of the shoulder. So I think it's a little too far back.
I would agree. Let's take a look at this one in slow motion here, and you'll see it does appear for sure a little far back, and on top of that, it does appear to be very high. The real vitals in a hog are very low in the chest, and you hit them high, that's tough. It's a tough one to find. So we'll look here at the hog anatomy again here and kind of show you here. This is where we think that, or we know that arrow went through, and as you can see, the vitals are the real vitals that you want to hit are so far away, and it just does not appear to be a good shot. So, folks, we're going to let you make your decisions here. What do you think? Is this a kill or is this a no find? Luke, I'm going to throw it over to you, buddy.
Well, I'll tell you what. Here if we were at the Buck and Bass Ranch and that was the only meat we had for the next 2 or 3 days, I think we better go squirrel hunting, Jeff. I don't think we got him.
Yeah, I think you're right. We definitely did not get that one. I remember very clearly making that shot that night. As a matter of fact, you were out there hunting with me, and you shot a hog that night, so we did have pork in the freezer. But this particular one, I don't know if I pulled my shot a little bit. I watched that hog for the longest time, was a little bit spooked, but I mean, it was just one of those things. Sometimes it just doesn't come together, and for me, it did not. So, folks, this was a no-find hog. So just remember, you got to get that arrow down low into the chest, high and back. Not a good thing. So we're going to move on to clip number 6. This is our final clip, Luke. So what do you think about clip number 6?
Well, let me look at that a little closer here. Study it just a little bit. Yeah, again, this is just a roll of the dice for me because I can't actually see exactly where that arrow is impacting. I know the hog is in a position that a good lethal shot could be made, but I just I'm not sure on this. 50-50 either way, Jeff. As far as would have to be my call on it. I can't tell enough to see if it's really a harder lung.
I'll slow it down here some slow-mo.
Okay.
And you can kind of get a better view of this thing, and then of course we'll look at the hog anatomy shot here too. And this is where that arrow went through that hog, and as you see here, I think this one was hit low and behind the shoulder. One thing I will say about this particular one is I was hunting on a hillside, so it was a very, very steep angle. So you have to kind of take that into consideration. I'm in a ladder stand on a hill, so it's extremely steep. So, folks, make your decisions. Tell us what you think. Do you think this was a kill? Do you think this was a no find?
I know,
Luke, it's after looking at the slow-mo.
Yeah, I've definitely formed an opinion. Yeah, you were able to, with that steep angle, low, I'm going to say that probably got that heart. So probably more pork, I'm going to say.
Well, folks, I hope you chose kill because it was. That arrow actually did. It cut off the top of the heart. It was an absolutely perfect shot. The angle was right. So I aimed high because I knew that it was such a steep angle that arrow was going to go straight down. So we'll look at this anatomy here again, and here's the angle here that shot was and the shot placement. So that was definitely a kill, and it ran maybe 20 yards and flipped over, and that was it. So that was pork in the freezer, my friend.
Awesome. Well, this was fun, Jeff, and honestly, it was educational. I mean, you and I both have bow hunted hogs for a long, long time, and I shot them many hogs with a bow. The one thing that I would say is forward do never aim past the back of that front leg. If you do, you're not going to kill that hog. I've killed them accidentally when they hit a femoral artery in the rear leg, but I'm talking about a killing shot. I had much rather shoot behind the jaw to the front shoulder. You'd be surprised that very few hogs get away with that forward shot placement. You've got the jugler, the air. I mean, you can shut them down if you can put that arrow up front like that, or honestly the spine. The spine on a hog it doesn't run from the back of the ears to the back of the tail. It makes a S curve down through the neck. So you've got, if you shoot them up front there, you've got a lot of ways that you can put them on the ground, Jeff. Absolutely, and I'm going to put up the anatomy here again. And if you look at this anatomy shot, you'll see that front leg, the leg bone actually goes forward. And what people don't realize is when they see that leg, they think straight up that there's going to be a bone there, the shoulder bone or the leg bone. And what people don't realize is it angles toward the head and neck area, so there's really a lot of area to hit the vitals in there. So you're right. If you're shooting behind that front leg, you're absolutely right. You're not clipping the heart, or you're a little too far back. You really need to find that front leg and almost go straight up. Exactly. But again, shooting the neck and those type of things, your high percentage shots are going to be areas where you hit the jugular, you hit the heart. You want a blood trail. And a couple tips. Number one, when you do hit one, you want a blood trail. Stay on the blood trail. So many people
veer off and start looking, and a lot of times they miss a hog just because they don't stay on the blood trail. Staying on the blood trail is extremely important. Tip number 2, use lighted nocks. I mean, you can see where the arrow goes in, and you get a much better idea of where your shot placement was. Number 3, I always carry my video camera with me. You can refer back to your video of the shot and go, yep, this was good. Nope, that wasn't so good. You really can get a good picture that way of what your shot is, and it'll give you a comfort level knowing that, hey, I probably made a decent shot, or I may have put it a little too high, whatever. Stay tuned. We're going to take a commercial break here, folks. We'll be back.
Hi folks, it's your old buddy Luke Clayton, and this ain't your grandpa's pump-up air gun. This is the Texan, made by Air Force Air Guns, and it's the most powerful production air gun in the world. A few years ago I started shooting these when they first came out. I actually had a chance to test. They didn't really need any testing, but to shoot one of the 10 prototypes when it first came out. Now this is the improved model. This tank pressures up to 3,625 psi. This gun will develop, I believe it's 750 foot-pounds of energy shooting a 520 grain bullet. So this is your big daddy of air guns. If you want to get into hunting or shooting air guns, you don't have to shoot a 520 grain bullet. I shoot a Nielsen specialty ammo bullet I think it's 340 grains. But here you go. Check these out online. You can go to airforceairguns.com and check them out. But this is the one I've hunted with a lot. I've probably killed 30 hogs and a bunch of exotics, and I'm going to get after the deer here in Texas this year with it. airforceairguns.com. Well, friends, I want to show you what I use for night hunting. This is the Wraith by Sightmark. It's a digital, it's not thermal, but you can use it for daytime hunting. It has a color mode. It's color during the day, and at nighttime for shooting hogs and predators I've killed them out to 125 yards, but I sight in for that distance. You could shoot them a lot farther. Go online to learn more about the Wraith. You can go to sightmark.com and check them out. Absolutely awesome hunting tool for day or night. Well, folks, Jeff and I did things a little bit differently today. Kind of gave you some pictures of some hogs that were harvested and let you decide if the shot looked good or if it didn't look good. The main thing that I can tell you, and I know Jeff agrees, the worst thing you can do is shoot a hog too far back. Remember, they carry their vitals in the front of their body, and their heart is low in their chest. So the tips that we gave were for bow hunting. Now, of course, if you're shooting at a hog with a centerfire rifle and you've got a good headshot, take it. But with a bow, you have to do things a little bit differently. Hope you enjoyed our show, and I hope you enjoy the instructions that we give. I know for a lot of you that have hunted a lot, it's pretty basic stuff, but I hope it helps some of you. Make sure to tune in next week. We're going to have some more fun talking hunting and fishing.